seated, if everyone could please rise so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
We have the flag right behind the computer.
Yes, we do. Okay, so as most folks are aware, Governor Hochul signed into law, I think it was September 2nd, the ability for public entities to hold meetings remotely by conference call or similar service, as long as the public has the ability to view or listen to the meeting, and the meetings are recorded and later transcribed. And this has been authorized through January 15th. So since we're virtual again, there's a little difference in how we do some of the meeting. In terms of the beginning, I'd like to get a roll call of who's present from the commission members and reps today. Town of Brookhaven.
Present.
Town of Riverhead.
Dan McCormick on behalf of Supervisor Aguiar, present.
Town of Southampton.
Supervisor Schneiderman, Jenna Shearer, and I think Marty Shea is also on the call.
Yes.
And Suffolk County.
Dorian Dale representing the county executive.
Andy Freeling, alternate.
Okay, so I just want to note that we have a quorum of 4 members present. I'd like to start off under item 1, administrative and public comment on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to provide public comment at this time? Please use your raise your hand feature to indicate for those present. Is there anyone that wishes to provide public comment at this time?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, do we have anyone on the telephone by call-in?
No.
Okay, so there are no public comment at this time. We will have another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well. Moving on to item 1B, minutes for the August 18th, 2021 commission meeting. I need a motion. Is there any changes? Do the commission members have any changes to the minutes? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Jay.
Supervisor Schneiderman.
Thank you, Jay. Okay, the motion passed, vote 4-0. The next item under 1D, you received in your e-packet a draft resolution for the commission to renew the public, 1C, draft resolution for commission to approve the New York State Workers' Compensation Insurance.
I make a motion for approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Because I can't always tell. The motion passed with a vote 4-0. The next item, again, you would have received a draft resolution in your e-packet for the commission to approve the renewal of the public officials management and employment practices liability insurance. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes 4-0. Okay, moving on to Item 2, Science and Stewardship on the agenda. 2A, Education and Outreach Division update. Ms. Perot.
Thank you. It's good to see you all. I wasn't able to attend the previous month, so it's good to be back. I'm happy to report the Education Outreach Division is slowly getting back to normal, and it started this summer with going back to an in-person Barrens to Bay summer camp experience. We did have to accommodate COVID by breaking the 20 campers up into 2 groups. Instead of 1 full day, we did 2 half days, 9 to 11:30, then 12 to 2:30, but it really did work out. And it was one of the best years. And I think it was just coming back person to person and really everybody seeing each other again. So it was a success, to the point too, that I had so many volunteers that we logged over 1,000 volunteer hours with mostly high school students who were counselors in training. And we did implement some new programs or activities, including a trail cam we'd put up every single evening, check it out the next morning. And we found a variety of new species they didn't realize they had at the refuge, including a new red fox family, which was a gray fox, but they do have red fox family back, which hasn't been there in about 7 years. We received many letters from parents about how much they loved the program, and we were able to meet the new Wertheim refuge manager, Anjanette Bagosi. So it's going to be a continued great partnership with them. We are also getting ready for, speaking about partnerships with Wertheim, Pine Barrens Discovery Day. We did decide this year again not to have an in-person event due to COVID, but we put on our how can we make this exciting hat, and we decided to create some scavenger hunts. So we created a scavenger hunt for Wertheim Wildlife Refuge and Quag Wildlife Refuge to encourage families to get out there and be exposed, experience, and learn about the Pine Barrens. So that'll be this Saturday, September 18th, all day. We've already highlighted on social media. You've probably received emails about it, and both sites do have them as well for visitors that are there that day that can take advantage of this opportunity.
But it's essentially virtual.
No, they will be able to download literal scavenger hunts and just go throughout the refuge and just check off, take pictures, and tag us on hashtag Pine Barrens Discovery Day 2021. So we'll get the picture.
I'm only asking because you know I usually show up there.
Oh, right. No, but speaking of showing up, Supervisor Romaine, the next activity or program that we're right in the thick of, which is prepping and planning for our 14th annual Day in the Life program. We start next Friday, the 24th of September with the Carmen's River, and do end it on November 5th, which will be every single Friday. We will be out on the river with students. We have about 90% of the teachers and schools able to participate. We do still have about 10% that aren't allowed to do field trips yet, but we will get some really good numbers, and we're really excited to get out there. We will implement some COVID mandates as well about gloves and sanitizing equipment, etc. But we would invite all of you to participate and come visit any of our locations. And Supervisor Romaine, I did send you an email about attending Carmen's River.
I will definitely attend if you're doing, the Forge also. Or
Yes.
other rivers in Brookhaven. I will go to all the rivers in Brookhaven.
That's great news. Thank you. Charles E.
So however
Walters,
you're doing it, let me know.
you got it. I sent you a
Including
schedule. I'll send it
If you
again.
do it on the Brookhaven side.
Okay, great. I'll definitely keep you updated on that. Charles E. Walters Elementary School personally asked for you. So it's in the email that I sent you. So, so we're really excited about that, getting back in action. And we are also partnering with ESF upstate. They want to implement a Day in the Life program. So they're coming down to visit to learn about it, and then we'll assist them and mentor them doing a couple of Day in the Lives up there near that school. Also, as far as education and outreach, I continue to go into libraries, civic associations, schools, and a new partnership with the Long Island Library Resource Council, where I'm booked to do 4 different presentations throughout the fall to all librarians,
Serve on that
BOCES.
board.
What's it?
5-year member on that board.
Oh, are you?
County. You know, I was. years
Oh,
ago.
okay. Okay, great, great. Yeah, it's a new partnership. Looking forward to working with them. So thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions for Melissa? Okay. Moving on to item 2B, Science and Stewardship Division update, Ms. Wiegand.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to see you remotely. We continue to be extremely busy in the Science and Stewardship Division. And to help bolster our staffing, we have been able to hire 2 seasonal prescribed fire crew members, Daniel Franchi, who is our intern this summer. We shared him with the Suffolk County Water Authority, and he also assisted in the commission. The Science and Stewardship Division and other divisions shared his time with us this summer, and he expressed interest in prescribed fire operations. So he, as well as Nicholas, who goes by Cole Anderson, both joined us on Tuesday for their first day and have rolled into prescribed fire training and qualifications. Nick has an associate's degree from ESF in natural resource management, and he's taken a lot of relevant forestry classes. And Daniel has looking for a career in law enforcement after the completion of the seasonal stint with the Sheriff's Department, I believe, and corrections. And so we're happy to have both of them on there to give them some additional exposure and training and qualifications related to their future careers, and also to help bolster our staffing for our prescribed fire program. So the prescribed fire program continues to grow and be implemented. We're building our capacity to implement the program. We are in the active prescribed fire season this fall. And we're anticipating that as long as the weather cooperates, and if it would stop raining and hurricanes blowing through, that we would have the, now that we have the staffing in utilizing DEC's leadership and equipment to help us with the transition into becoming more of the lead in prescribed fire programming, that we will be able to put fire on the ground hopefully as soon as next week in south of Curran's Woodlands, which is in Rocky Point Pine Barren State Preserve, and also do some additional training for members of our staff, especially Sean, to get him qualified as a squad boss. While he has the experience as a burn boss, he needs to obtain the NWCG qualifications under our provisions for prescribed fire. So he's working towards that, and that requires certain tasks that be checked off in his task book with wildfire. And so Bob Panko, our fire management specialist, had conceived a training zone over in the Fresh Ponds area in Rocky Point, Calverton, to do those operations. So we're looking to do both active prescribed fire treatments and then these training operations in the coming weeks. As far as planning, we continue to meet regularly with the DEC to advance coordination of these operations, as well as the future development of our program, including the development of MOUs, looking towards the opportunity or possibility of having a storage facility where we would have a co-located fire cache at the Ridge facility, at the check station. In order for us to do active prescribed fire, we need to have the burn plans. So Bob has continued to be very diligent in applying his experience to these complex burn plan development. He has finished the west of Sarnoff, which we hope will be signed off this week. That's a 1,200 acre treatment plan for west of David Sarnoff in Riverside. And also he has just completed the Dwarf Pine Barrens on the eastern side, and the Dwarf Pine Barrens, Pine Barren State Forest that the DEC owns. It would be a total of 633 acres covered under that plan. So we're actively in review of those plans to get them finalized through the review process that is required under 194 through DEC. The education and outreach is also a key component of our fire programming that we've been very successful at this. In the last 2 months, we've met with Ridge Fire Department and Middle Island Fire Department on operations and getting their support and endorsement of our programs. We also presented to the Middle Island Civic Association that was hosted at the Middle Island Fire Department. And Matthew Groper, who is the chief of that fire district, was very supportive of our effort. He attended that meeting and provided endorsement. And the Rangers also attended that presentation, all those presentations as well, to show unified support and help provide further clarifications on our operations. So those education and outreach components have been integral to ensuring that we are informing the public of the prescribed fire operations and the transition from grassland burns into woodland burns. And all of the presentations that we provided had great questions from the public. They were well attended and well received, and they've all offered to help disseminate information to their constituents and to their members to help increase awareness of day of operations. Sean has been diligent and very busy in securing the equipment that we need for our programming. So the ATVs or the UTVs have been purchased or been actually moved forward for purchasing, and we expect delivery of those. Due to COVID, there's many delays in processing and development of equipment and sourcing of equipment. So those will be rolling in hopefully in late January and February. And we are moving forward with purchasing of hoses and other equipment, appliance fittings, a water trailer, PPE for our staff to ensure that we're fully equipped for the spring for our fire programming. And then we'll be participating in training. So the new staff that we've just hired, along with Sabrina Cohn, will be participating in a field day to ensure their full qualifications for our fire operations this fall. And then all of our science and stewardship staff will be engaged in the NIWEMA programming to increase our capabilities, capacities, and qualifications for prescribed fire. Building on prescribed fire, we're assisting Judy with the Community-Wise program and helping implement the U.S. Forest Service grant to help ensure that homeowners are prepared as much as possible in reducing their risk for wildfire. So we're helping to do the wildfire prevention home assessments. We're advertising for those in the community, in the CWPP area within Ridge, Manorville, and Calverton. And so we're getting mailing lists together. We did a training that was led by Judy on how to do the assessments. And we used Chip Hamilton, who's the wildlife biologist for DEC, who lives in that area, as the opportunity to provide that training to our staff, and then also provide him with recommendations on how to improve his home protectedness to wildfire. So it was a win-win for both of us, both Chip and the division, to implement that program. And Sabrina Cohn will be running point on that program. So we're happy to be able to help Judy out to ensure that we're reaching as many people as possible in that capacity. In that regard, we did attend the National Night Out event that was sponsored by the Sheriff's Department at the beginning of August, and we had great reception to Smokey Bear, who was Sabrina. Don't tell all the little children it was Sabrina, not Smokey Bear, but he was a great draw to the children and to the parents, allowing us to engage the attendees on fire programming as well as the wildfire prevention home assessments. And we've been able to get 12 people that are interested in that. So we'll be moving forward with that. And then quickly, just a couple things related to invasive species. Southern pine beetle, unfortunately, continues to be very active this year, spreading in Warbler Woods and getting close to Rocky Point Pine Barrens Preserve. So the state and the commissioner are working diligently to help suppress that infestation and help contain it so that it does not move into Rocky Point Pine Barrens State Forest. We are in the active period for trees that may have oak wilt exhibiting symptoms. So if you see any oak trees that are dying from the top down or fading or turning red, please report them to the commission so that we can have DEC come out and test for whether that's oak wilt. So far, there's been no positive detections this year, which is great news. And while ash trees are not prevalent in the Pine Barrens, they are most prevalent in the Pine Barrens along your roadsides, used commonly as a street tree. And we've been seeing extensive damage and death to ash trees because of the emerald ash borer. So a lot of those, unfortunately, are on roadsides where they're planted, and the trees decay very rapidly and become a human hazard. So if you have those along your streets, I encourage the towns and municipalities to make sure that you're trying to be as diligent as you can to remove those trees as soon as they're symptomatic, when they're most easily removed, just like southern pine beetle affected trees. And then spotted lanternfly continues its march into Long Island. We're seeing more and more detections in Nassau County and Queens and Brooklyn. So we're expecting that actual infestations will be found this year. So if you do see this insect, we'd ask that you dispatch it immediately and report that to the commission so that we can notify Ag and Markets and LISMA. And then the last thing that we continue to be focused on is invasive species management. Unfortunately, are most readily associated with encroachments and working on encroachments, remediation plans. So just echo that it's ever important to proactively prevent these encroachments from occurring and to address these encroachments as soon as possible, because we are seeing ever increasing invasive species prolifically spread and take the opportunity to invade those open niches when disturbance occurs in the pine barrens. So that's my quickish report. Does anyone have any questions? All right, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. Okay, under item 3, Planning, Land Use, and Pine Barrens Credit Program, 3A, Compliance and Enforcement Division, Mr. Hess.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see everyone. So just a brief summary. We've had a busy summer. We're up to about 49 investigations or incidents, as we call them. Vast majority have been the dumping cases that you're familiar with. Our camera program still being successful due to the assistance of our law enforcement council members. We had 25 incidents that we were able to document on our camera program, surveillance cameras. And the second category would be the clearing and encroachment incidents. We've had 16 of them, bulk of them in Brookhaven, 33. But we have had 7 incidents in Southampton and 4 in Riverhead that we're working now with the code officials in those towns, and making some progress. Some of these cases are significant. A few of them I think we'll be discussing later on in the meeting. And we continue to assist coordinating those with between the commission, the towns, county and state DEC primarily. So it's been a busy summer. We're also kind of excited about, we just had another meeting this morning with our IT people over at the Water Authority. They've been very helpful in helping us to develop a new computer-based program to collect our statistics in a more efficient and accurate manner. Hopefully soon, when we send you these reports, they'll be clearer, more concise, more easily digested as far as what's going on here in the compliance and enforcement and the commission. So we're excited about that. It was just starting to use it. We had a few kinks to work out this morning, and we think it's going to be a great program graphically and so on. So that's about all that I have. We are continuing our drone program. We have another training scheduled at the end of the month with one of our lieutenants from DEC, who's a statewide instructor. So again, they kind of got delayed a little bit because of COVID and trying to get together with him, but we're making progress. So we're excited about that.
Tim,
Yes.
Are you still using the Civil Air Patrol and/or drones?
Drones, yes, that's the goal is to get our drone program up and running so we can do it correctly. We have 4 licensed pilots here.
Right.
Myself, Jim Mazzio, Polly, and Sean. But we've got the credentials. We're honing our skills. So yes, we have a drone.
We're gonna have the drones in use soon.
Yes,
They'll be more effective in winter when there isn't leaf cover.
I would say, yes. We're talking about trying to get some video of Polly's program on Bob Panko, and the prescribed Barrens. So, yes.
Yeah, particularly for dumping.
Dumping with drones, you have to be there, Johnny, on the spot when, I mean, to identify sites might be useful, yes. Catching people, that's hit and miss. But, we'll definitely find uses for it. And we're open to suggestions and willing to assist the towns as necessary.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Civil Air Patrol, we did touch base with them this year. And I was in touch with the colonel, and they've had some reorganization. The last we spoke was more or less, we'll speak again. And we quite honestly, we have to continue to kind of resurrect that program with us here.
Well, the more eyes we have in the sky, the better off we are protecting the pine barrens.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people out there that are, I guess stupid would be the right
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
And,
There's no lack of the dumping cases. Every time we go out, we see them and we're finding them. And in a lot of the cases, we're able to apprehend them. But there's all those areas where cameras are tough to put up. The busy roads like along North Street and so on. Traffic will activate the cameras and they load up and then but where we can do it, we are going to do it. We purchased a couple extra cameras this summer. So we're always wanting to expand that program. We find it, it's important to us as it is to you, Supervisor, very much so.
okay.
Thanks for your support.
Is there any other questions for Tim? Okay. Moving right along, item 3B, Land Use Division update, Julie Hargrave.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commission members and representatives. Just to briefly go over the report, Sunrise Wind, there's a public hearing scheduled for next month. It's possible the applicant has indicated they could be putting this off again since they may still be working with the county on looking at, using the South Haven County Park land, a portion of it for the installation of their infrastructure. So that could be put off again, but for now it's planned for a hearing in October, which I guess will occur by Zoom most likely if it does go ahead. And the other items that we've received recently are listed here, referrals, which many of them are on the Commission's agenda today. And other items that we do plan to send you the package of plan amendments for your review to reinitiate the review of those amendments and the environmental impact statement that we've prepared the draft, but that will potentially be on next agenda just to reintroduce that to you and provide a presentation, but obviously give you plenty of time to digest that first before its official release and then starting to schedule for comments and things like that, public hearings. So you may see that in the mail, and then we'll be addressing that at either the next meeting or the following meeting. Okay, thank you.
Is there any questions for Julie from anyone? Okay. All right, moving right along to item 3, Enterprise Park at Calverton, Town of Riverhead. We originally were going to have a discussion on this. I know you've received a substantial package of information that compile the information related to EPCAL. Dan, did you want to speak to this?
Yes, thank you very much and good afternoon all. And Julie, again, thank you for your fine efforts in compiling all that data. It's approximately 400 pages of material. And so we thank you for that. In the preliminary review of that data, we have discerned that there are additional matters related to Riverhead's approval of this particular aspect of the club, mainly 9.2. And so we are attempting to retrieve those additional files from our archive system. In the interest of addressing this as fully informed participants and commissioners, respective commissioners, Riverhead is requesting that the discussion be adjourned to the November 17th meeting to allow not only the town of Riverhead, but all of the other commissioners and their respective staff to review all of the data regarding this particular matter, and certainly allowing Riverhead to review our own internal files on this particular matter. So that is my motion at this particular time, and we thank you for your consideration.
So you've made a motion to put off discussion of the EPCAL issue until.
Dan, I don't know if we need a motion on that. It's just
Right.
an information item. So we can just, we could have the discussion in November if you're ready or whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, under the next item, under core preservation area, the Suffolk Community College Eastern Campus on Spionk Riverhead Road in Riverhead. Julie?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll just briefly go over this proposal and explain some of the history of the commission's involvement with the college at this location in the core preservation area. This proposal we've received from the county college is for a 4,000 square foot warehouse building, prefabricated building for the use of storage of campus equipment and supplies, materials. And it would go in an area that would require cutting about eight trees in an area that is partially developed in the southeastern portion of the developed area of the school. And so the commission has some history with this campus. There's been a determination, approximately 3 determinations. There may have been additional letters, but the first one was in 1995 in January, where the commission determined that the projects that the county listed in their master plan, which predated the Pine Barrens Act, there were projects, there were different phases described, phases 1, 2, and 3. And the phase 1 projects were determined to be non-development. And those included the library, the asbestos removal, and a number of other things, upgrading the central energy plant. So those projects were able to proceed as non-development. And then in 2000, the commission did review a modular building for a classroom space, which was also determined to be non-development. I don't believe that involved any clearing. And then the third item, third main project that came under your review was in 2013, the commission reviewed the health facility that was described in phase 2 of the master plan. And that did require some clearing, but again, that was described, and there's a resolution that determined if that to be determined as a non-development under the public health and safety provision. Now, this proposal again is for warehouse use and not specifically for classroom space, or but it was identified in the phase 2 list of in the master plan, in the phase 2 list of projects, and it was actually slightly bigger than its current size. But again, it will be need to require a little bit amount of clearing. So the question is whether this is development or not. And if it is development, it would require a hardship potentially, which would be compelling public need. And if it's non-development, then we need to find a place in the act where it can be determined to be non-development, a warehouse use like this. So do you?
And I'll just point out, Julie, thank you for the good description of the project. The phase 2 and phase 3, The commission in 2013 said those have no significance being placed in those different phases. The commission did recognize phase one activities, but this is not a phase one activity.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, what action, John, should we be taking?
I'm sorry,
I-
Judy, I do have a question. Can I just jump in? Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now we do, yeah.
Okay, great.
I think we're losing you
Use
there.
of that particular warehouse, would it be accurate to say, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be accurate to say that the use of the warehouse is ancillary and in service to the overall mission of the community college regarding its educational status?
I see that we have some representatives from the community college with us today. I know their counsel is here, maybe their architect.
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Lou Patrizzo. I wasn't sure who that question was directed.
Hello, Lou.
Supervisor Romaine, how are you? Supervisor
Good.
Heidemann and members of the commission. Yes, absolutely. The warehouse is in service to the remainder of the college. At present, the college does not have a warehouse facility on the eastern campus. And what we're doing there is we are having a receiving area on the rear of the cafeteria. And supplies are received at that point and either dispersed immediately to the recipients or stored in other buildings on the campus, some of which are classroom buildings. Now, quite frankly, that is not an optimal situation for us. The storage of materials in a non-warehouse type of facility is rife with all kinds of problems, not the least of which is that we've had some comments from our county fire marshals about the propriety of using classroom facilities and other types of buildings for the storage of materials. So it would be a great benefit to us if we could get this project approved and we could have a suitable facility. Now, the project was initiated well before the COVID-19 pandemic, but the pandemic itself has now put an increased burden on the college in terms of providing janitorial supplies. All of the students and all of the faculty who come to the college must be masked at all times. And so we purchase hundreds and hundreds and thousands of masks, and they have to be stored somewhere. The gloves, the plastic separators, the hand sanitizer, in addition to all the other supplies at the college, are all required for health and safety compliance for our students and for our employees. So continued use of this loading dock for receiving is not an optimal situation for us. And the project that we're proposing to you would create a receiving area for all college supplies, a warehouse to store those supplies in a safe and efficient manner. One other point, as I think all of you know, the college is a public institution. It's one of the 30 community colleges in the State University of New York system. We like to say, because it's true, that we're the largest community college in that system. Quite frankly, we're larger than a lot of the four-year institutions. And we service somewhere between 18 and 20,000 students throughout Suffolk County. And we're the only college, I believe, on the east end of the county that provides an affordable, accessible education for students. So the benefits that the college brings to the community, I think, are clear and are manifest in all educational institutions, but particularly in an educational institution in an area of great need like the east end of our county. The project is funded by 50% from the state of New York, 50% from the county of Suffolk. You can't get a more pure public improvement than a public entity on public land building a facility with public money. So we think in all parts of this proposal that we meet the requirements for a public improvement. And we would ask that the committee give the commission rather give serious consideration to this proposal, because we think it's necessary for health, welfare, and safety, and because we think it will be a benefit to many of the people of the county of Suffolk.
Can you also address, or someone from the college could address the whether any vegetation will be removed to install or build this facility?
Yes, of course we can. We have with us Ralph Cassetta from Campbell Cassetta Architects, and we also have John DeMayo from the college, who's the college administrative director of educational facilities. Ralph, maybe you want to take that question? You're on mute, Ralph. Ralph, I think you're on mute.
Okay.
There will be some vegetation that will need to be cleared. We had issued a site plan that showed 8 trees that needed to be removed. We had positioned the building in such a location that would minimize any kind of vegetation that would be cleared. Currently, the site is used also as a planting area for the college, where they will plant some small caliber trees and then relocate them to another location. So all of those will be relocated to various locations on the campus as well. Out of the 8 trees that need to be removed, 3 of them are pine trees, and as indicated on our plan. But like I said, the siting is beneficial to the location of the building relative to the adjacent structures, the salt shed and the central heating plant, which is where all of the utilities will be coming from, and also to the access road.
Okay. Do any of the other commission members have questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Petrizzo and Mr. Cassetta. This was Dan McCormick from the town of Riverhead, just so you know who asked the question. Thank you for your.
I do have a question. I think though my question is for John. So if John Malazzo, so just putting aside for a second the argument that maybe there's a public health and safety component because they're storing sanitizers and masks and things like that. I wanted to get back to the master plan in phase 1 and phase 2. And John, I wasn't sure if you were making a distinction when you said this is a phase 2 project and we have determined phase 1 projects were exempted. Is that only because this is the first phase 2 project we're seeing? Because they were contemplated at the same time, but in a sequential order. So now we're after phase 2. Is there a distinction there between phase 1 and phase 2?
The commission, yes, the commission drew that distinction in 2013 and also in the 1995 resolution. I think it was 95. Let me just make sure I get the dates
Yeah,
correct.
it's 95.
Yeah, so
January
there's a
95.
95 resolution which said phase 1 were pretty much non-development and exempt. And they said this does not extend to phase 2 and 3, which were already contemplated in 95. So the commission did draw that distinction, and it's held that distinction through time. So that's why there's a difference with that distinction.
What was the logic, the rationale for exempting phase 1 but not 2 or 3?
I don't know, and I don't want to speculate. So I don't know. The commission drew that distinction. There may have been some additional environmental review that was completed on the phase 1 distinctions, but I'm not sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's a rational basis to that.
Well, in 95, the commission determined the portion of the master plan in phase 1 was non-development. So they did not extend it to phase 2 and 3, although the resolution did recognize the existence of phases 2 and 3 at the time.
Right, I mean, it seems
And then
that,
when we revisited in 13, again, we determined that the phase 2 wasn't categorically non-development. They were going to be handled on a case-by-case basis, which is how they approved the wellness center. And now here we are 6 years or 8 years later, looking at a second phase 2 project.
was the wellness center in phase 1 of the master plan?
I believe the wellness center was in phase 2. It was a phase 2 project.
Because I mean, I was involved with that at the county level, and I don't even remember if it was even part of that master plan, so. All right,
I'm reading the commission resolution and it said the facility, which was the wellness center, was part, I just want to make sure I get this right. Was the 2013, was that for the classroom or for the wellness center?
13 was
shit.
for the wellness center. It was called, in the master plan, it was called the physical education building. It wasn't called wellness center. It was, the name was different, but the purpose was the same when it came in.
Yeah, and it was a phase 2. I'm sorry. Just wanna make sure
I
got it
just
right.
don't believe that the commission ever acted in an arbitrary and capricious fashion, considering the deliberative manner in which the commission considers things. To say that it would be arbitrary and capricious and to separate one phase from another phase is counterproductive, because it doesn't seem to lend itself to the operation of this commission in the way that we deliberate over items and consider them.
I agree, of course. Commission doesn't do things arbitrarily.
You don't
capriciously.
want a court to be,
No.
and those words stand out.
And I add just a little more color to Mr. Milazzo's comments. In 95, the college did apply for all 3 phases, for approval of all 3 phases. But only one phase was approved. And the other 2 phases, no decision was made. So I'm not going to make the argument here, but I think there is an argument that having not approved an application over 25 or 26 years ago might have some consequences in and of itself. But again, that's not an argument that we're making today, but it's just something that I'll bring to your attention.
And when the commission revisited this in 13 with a project that was on a phase 2, it specifically said, we're going to look at phase 2 projects and phase 3 projects on a case-by-case basis. So the most recent pronouncement from the commission is we recognize phase 2 and 3, and the commission had the option of categorically exempting them. It chose not to. And it said, we'll look at them a case by case. And when we did look at those on a case by case, we found the wellness center was non-development, which is, it got the same, the commission was not, had the opportunity twice to say everything in all 3 phases was non-development. It chose not to do so twice, but it didn't preclude adoption of the logic which was applied for the phase 1 projects, calling them non-development, to be applied to the components of the phase 2 and 3 list. It's just doing it on a case-by-case basis to date. And again, and maybe some of that rationale is, like Julie pointed out, the project was different on the phase 2 list and what came in 2013. So maybe it recognizes that projects evolve over time, and rather than put the college in a position with a project approved in 1995 and then forcing you to build the exact thing that was approved, it gives you a little more flexibility to adapt to your needs as they evolve.
Fair enough.
I just want to
So,
make a
I'm
point
sorry,
of,
Julie, so the place, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So the place for the commission here is this development. So if the college has made an argument that it's non-development because it's public health and safety, they've listed out the reasons why. And if that is sufficient, then it's non-development and then they can proceed. If the commission feels that that's not a public health and safety type of use, and we have different markers in the past, then it would require a hardship.
I guess at this point, it's up to the commission in terms of how they want to proceed on this matter.
Yeah, there's no, we have a closed advisory session today, so if there was any reason that you wanted counsel, we could, of course, discuss this as part of that closed advisory session. Again, this would be advice of your attorney, not necessarily executive item, but it would be your attorney providing you legal advice. There's no timeline because an application has not been made. This came in the context of request for determination. So those are your
So John,
options.
can that delay be obviated by simply making a motion that this is in fact non-development and proceeding? To see how the vote turns out on that at this point?
Of course.
I'll make a motion.
Riverhead seconds that motion.
I'm sorry, any discussion?
Dorian, your argument is that this is what, a health facility?
I'm sorry, Jay, are you addressing that to me?
Do you make the motion that?
I made the motion. Yes, I am.
Non-development?
I'm supporting the premise that Mr. Patrizzo has forwarded that it is in fact a health-related facility.
So the motion would be that this is a public improvement necessary for the health, safety, and welfare of the members of the public, which would fall into the category that the other community college projects have fallen within and been non-development.
Right, it's a warehouse.
Mhm.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can I just ask Mr. Patrizzo a question?
Yes, sir.
So, you mentioned a moment ago that this is for storing sanitizers and this is for storing masks. You know, and we're all trying to get the pandemic in the rearview mirror as fast as possible. Is this building always going to be used?
Jay, you cut out. I'm sorry. Jay, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I think you got.
You're back.
That's the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Take
Are
it
you
easy.
able to hear my question?
You were cut off in the middle of it. I think I got the sense of it. Are you asking me if this building is always going to be used in a health and safety mode?
Yes.
The answer is yes. It will always be used in a health and safety mode because it'll always enable us to store our products and our goods and our supplies for the students in a safe and efficient manner and not have them placed in classroom buildings or other buildings where we have run into conflict with the state and county fire marshals because that's not a proper place to store materials and supplies.
Okay.
So yes, that will continue forever.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yes, this is Dan McCormick from Riverhead. Mr. Patrizzo, would you further add that this particular warehouse will not be used for private entities purposes? So for example, you wouldn't lease or rent to a private entity regarding storage or warehousing activities, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Judy, can I just let the commission know that the applicant did look at 4 alternatives and some of those involve no clearing. And they did have price tags associated with them where because of extensions to energy and other infrastructure facilities. So there were alternatives examined that may have, fallen aside because of certain financial considerations. But they may have not involved as much clearing. I just wanted to let the commission know that the school had looked at some alternatives.
But to clarify, Julie, as I recall, you said that clearing constituted 7 trees.
It's, I think, 8 trees. I mean, I think it's the area is generally natural also. It's not just the trees, but it's not going on a parking lot with trees, for example. But yeah, it's 8 trees. 8. That's correct.
There was some testimony that the trees are being relocated, not clear cut.
Those may be small. The
Did I
ones that are being cut
misunderstand
are
that?
large. I'm not sure if they provided information on
I
some
thought,
This
restoration.
is Ralph Cassetta. Some of the smaller trees are being relocated by the college. The trees that cannot be relocated are the ones that are listed, the 8 trees that need to be removed.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so we have a motion before us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
before you have the motion carried, Dorian, the
Okay.
last time the commission did this, the county abstained. I just wanted to point that out. There's all of the members are willing to pass this resolution. Do you wish, I just want to point that out.
Okay, so
So your motion could be withdrawn if there was a motion and a second by 2 other members, and then you could abstain. It would be a 3-0-1 vote, which would be enough to carry the action, and then the county wouldn't be voting on its own project.
I see. Okay, just out of curiosity, John, are you referring to the
Not
2013
their
project?
project.
I'm sorry, John, are you referring to the 2013 project?
Yes, sir.
I see. Well, you have the institutional knowledge here. I was not around at that point in time, so I will defer to your judgment. And if it's just as effective to have a 301, so be it.
Okay, so then you would have to withdraw your motion.
Okay, as per council's advice, the county will withdraw its motion and defer to others.
Is there someone else that will make this motion?
I'll make the motion.
And is there a second?
Riverhead will second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay. So this motion remains that it would be non-development pursuant to the public improvement necessary for health and safety, according to Dorian's previous wording, and that it will not be used by a private entity in the future. Is that, am I clear on the motion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion passes 4-0.
No,
No.
No,
Oh, excuse me.
county had to.
3-0-1, excuse me.
3-0-1.
Suffolk County abstains. 3-0-1. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much. And thank you to commission staff for all your help. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, I inadvertently jumped ahead on the agenda, so I need to go back because I did not allow Jerry Taverdi to provide his update on the credit program. So we're going to step back to item 3C, the credit program, and ask Jerry to please provide his update.
Thank you, Judy. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to give you an update on the credit program statistics and latest activities. So we have issued 26 letters of interpretation so far this year, 6 in the town of Brookhaven, 2 in Riverhead, and 18 in the town of Southampton. 4 conservation easements are currently in the process, including the large parcel that belonged to Long Island Country Club, also known as Wine Ditch property. And this is a large parcel, over 90 acres, mostly wooded areas. it has a number of grass fields that maintained for hunting purposes. 8 parcels were added to the program this year, which leads us to another milestone, that is 1,000 as a total number of parcels with conservation easements in the program, with over 2,000 of acres in the Pine Barrens core area. 49 credits were redeemed in 2021, most of them in Brookhaven Town for a residential project. 18 credits have been conveyed. The average price differs in each town. For the Brookhaven, it is 95,000, Southampton 86, and in Riverhead just 30,000. And that's because there was like kind of abnormal transaction of one credit for 25,000. The total number of 90 parcels were inspected this year, and 53 signs were installed. In terms of financial report, we still have $2.5 million in the bank, and the interest build up for this year was $1,700. Last Friday, we had a clearinghouse meeting, in the Brookhaven Town Hall, and the main subject discussed was whether the 10.19 credits that's still owned by the Commission should be offered for sale. 10 years ago, these credits were purchased by the clearinghouse from the Brookhaven credits owners. This spring, the Commission had received a request to purchase 9.65 credits from Sound Capital LLC. They need to redeem credits for residential project in the town of Brookhaven. At its July meeting, the Commission asked for the recommendation of the clearinghouse board members as to whether the credits should be sold. Last week, the board members had extensive discussion, and some points included availability of credits in Brookhaven Town, the results of 2018 and 19 attempts to offer credits to the developers with shovel-ready projects, credits redemption for residential versus commercial projects, and the potential impact that the sale of the credits might have on the private credit market. As a result, a memo to the Commission members was prepared and forwarded yesterday with the recommendations from the Clearinghouse Board of Advisors. This subject is going to be discussed later today in the executive session, since it includes evaluation of the credits, which could impact the credit market. Thank you. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Jerry. Moving along to item 3F under the compatible growth area, we have Southampton Town ZBA referrals. The first one is the Town of Southampton Housing Authority for 69 Old Quag Road, Riverside. Julie?
Thank you. Yes, so there's 4 referrals from the ZBA on the agenda today. And this one, as in the others, we're just asking the town to clarify or make their determination on single and separate status. And then it can be determined whether the projects are development or non-development. So we have draft letters in the package for this, and I believe the commission has received this letter. Do you have any questions on it? May be able to answer.
It would be appropriate at this time to move that we send you a draft response.
Thank you.
I'll move that we send you draft response to the town of Southampton.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Dorian? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, the vote, the motion passes 4-0. Julie, the next item under the Town of Southampton Housing Authority for 86 Vail Avenue in Riverside.
Yes, this is another ZBA referral for two main actions, again, to determine single and separate status and dimensional relief. This needs to be determined if it's single and separate, and if it is, then the project could potentially go ahead as non-development. There may have been some past subdivision that could have altered this parcel or changed its configuration. So we just need to clarify that and see what that was, if anything, and then if that affects the determination or a determination on this project. So we have a letter to that effect in the
Make
package.
a motion that we send the draft response over to the town of Southampton to ZBA.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. The third item is under the Town of Southampton Housing Authority's 116 Vail Avenue in Riverside.
This is another request for determination of to the ZBA that was forwarded to the commission on single and separate status and lot coverage relief. And this lot appears to be the same as it was back before the Pine Barrens Act. It's just currently vacant and there's a residence proposed. So if the single and separate status can be confirmed, then it appears to be non-development. So we have a letter to that effect.
I move we send the draft response.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Supervisor Romaine.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, item 4 under Southampton is the Michael and Amy O'Brien 2838 Quag Riverhead Road in East Quag, relief of rear lot coverage.
Yeah,
Julie?
this also appears to be non-development for the construction of an accessory use on a residential property in the compatible growth area. So again, if that's confirmed to be single and separate, then this looks like non-development for construction. of an accessory
I'll
use.
make a motion to send that letter.
Thank you, Marty.
There's a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed unanimously. Okay, item G, Southampton Planning Board referral, certain Solar Inc. site plan.
This is a site plan, a commercial site plan in the Riverside Enterprise. Sorry, the Southampton Enterprise Zone. It's a commercial industrial subdivision in Riverside in Southampton Town. And this is straightforward. There's no issue here. They're actually looking to be, I think, under the clearing limit of 50%. They're only clearing, I think, 35% for this project right now. So this appears to conform, and there's a letter in the package just to highlight a few of the standards in the plan that of course, require conformance as in any compatible growth area development project.
I'll make a motion. I'll
Okay,
make a motion to send that letter.
Thank you, Marty.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, that brings us to the second public comment period on the agenda. Is there anyone present from the public that wishes to provide comment at this point in the agenda? Please use the raise your hand feature. Nobody? And there's no one that's phoned in?
It's one person that's phoned in.
Would that individual identify themselves if they wish to speak? Okay. So I'm going to assume that that individual does not wish to provide any public comment at this time. We need to go into an executive session to discuss litigation matters and some enforcement issues, and also to have further discussion on the credit clearinghouse credits that need to be discussed in executive session because they include discussion of valuation of credits, which could potentially affect the market. Do I have a
Motion, we
motion?
go into executive session for the purposes enumerated, and at the end of that session, we come out of executive session and adjourn without conducting further business.
I'll second.
Okay, I don't know if we do we have to come out or we just say we're just,
Oh, we have to come out of executive session. You go,
Okay.
you got to come out of it.
that's some point.
Okay,
Okay,
you're going to be forwarding a call-in number?
yeah, what we're gonna do is we'll be forwarding a Zoom
Okay.
link for a new meeting for everyone to join in. It's a little bit easier when we see people versus trying to sometimes have that discussion on a conference call, which sometimes I don't know if someone's not present or we step on each other a little more.
What would you like us to do?
So if you want to take like a 5 or 10 minute break, and Angie, our administrative assistant, will forward to you folks an email that contains the Zoom link.
Okay,
Okay,
made a motion, we're going to go into executive session, so that's the end.
Second.
Okay.
second,
I'll
all in
wait.
favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed
Okay,
unanimously.
see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you in about 10 minutes.